Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFeelava, and this is Speedplay Greece and Victoria 2, Episode 3. So, we left off, our empire is fairly well established. We just managed to take over a portion of mainland China, which was a slightly easier fight than it probably should have been, thanks to the AI kind of being incredibly inept. Alright, so despite all that, we have now set ourselves up for the next stage in our plot. Now, our great plot is to go beat the Ottomans to submission, get all of our amazing cores back, probably get enough land for the great idea, which I'm not going to try to say in the Greek, which would have been to retake Constantinople and kind of reform something akin to a Greek empire roughly similar to the Byzantines. We actually, in this game, and this is something we get because we're playing vanilla, have the option to actually just call ourselves the Byzantine Empire again, which is pretty cool, if maybe a little bit ahistoric. Although I don't really mind that too much. A lot of people do a bit. Anyway, though, so our plot to do that is to combine British India and all of the... They actually don't seem to have any troops here at the moment, but all the troops they typically have. So it's usually a lot. Get all those British troops to be able to invade the Ottomans directly. The only obstacle on our way right now is the Persians. The Persians, let's take a look, aren't in anybody's sphere of influence. However, they are friendly with the Russians, or the Russians are friendly with them, either way. Now that might be a problem. We have a casus belli on them, we formed that at the end of the last episode, so we can take one of their provinces. And we're just going to take this province, Laristan, Sistan, and then ideally we're going to go for broke and take Khuzestan. Once we take these two provinces, we'll have that direct line. The British will be able to march from India through our territory into the Ottoman Empire and, well, help us fight the Ottomans and potentially the Russians if the Russians do come aid the Ottomans, which they very well may. Now, another issue is that, because they are friendly with the Ottomans as well. The big issue is that they may come intervene against us when we're attacking the Persians because they are friendly. I'm basically just going to hope that they don't do that. I know as far as strategic initiatives go, that's really terrible footing to have, but that's the footing that we have. So yeah, let's see how that goes. We'll go ahead and try to get our troops into position, try to make it so they don't just ram into each other and give each other terrible, terrible attrition. Alright, and that's basically enough forces on the border. Our armies aren't really composed very well, but that doesn't matter too much. We'll go ahead and get that Loristan, Sistan, and we won't call our allies. The UK would accept, the Portuguese won't. We ally the Portuguese because they kind of just offered it. And we'll just move these troops up, hope for the best, and see what happens. Alright, so immediately we're at war with Kokand and Persia, which is honestly pretty good. As long as the Russians don't intervene, we are going to be doing amazingly well. What did we do with our navy? That's a big question. Oh cool, it's right by the Persian Gulf, which is exactly where it needs to be. So we'll just bring these boats in, just blockade. Ah, crap, the Russians joined. Alright, so let's test our theories. Alright, so the British have gone ahead and joined. They're now the leaders in the war. Here's a thought. The Ottomans only have 15 brigades. They're allied with the Netherlands and Spain, which actually makes this not a very good plot, never mind. What I was going to kind of just offer up would have been the idea that we would declare war on the Ottomans while we're fighting the Persians with the Russians supporting the Persians. Ooh. Oh, actually we're winning that. Neat. Let's let this play out. Man, if we actually have a better navy than the Russians in the Mediterranean, which it doesn't look like we will in a moment. Yeah, we don't right now, not at all. When can we get out of this? Probably right now. Can we? Please? Boats? Alright, no. Okay, so we lost one. That's not too bad. We did sink a few. Alright, so the big worry is going to be when all these Russian troops start pouring through. Hopefully the British will have their act together by then. I don't really know where the British forces are. They've got a few on their mainland. They have 103 brigades, which is considerable. And they're probably... Okay, these are just capital ships, no transports. I don't know where the British army is. Oh, it looks like the Civil War is going on. That's kind of neat. Oh, okay. A bit of a combat in North America. Bit of a front. No forces here. Yeah, it's actually very interesting. Where is the British military? I have no idea. Huh. So they're supposed to have 300,000 men. I've spotted maybe 100,000. Maybe they're all on boats? If they're all on boats, then that's great news. Are they going to be landing on Siberia? Well, hopefully not. At any rate, we're not going to realistically be able to press the Persians very much. So instead, probably a better act. Now, we might just want to take over the province in question. Just kind of rush into that and do that as swiftly as we possibly can. That would be good. Take that, start getting the war score. It looks like the Russians are already here. Let's just move out of there and try to support our troops. Looks like we won't actually need to bring reinforcements. Alright, cool, we won that battle. We should definitely start pulling our forces away, though. Acquire Russian Alaska. Okay, so this is just going to be a war of the British seizing Russian Alaska. I doubt they're going to actually help us very much. Yep, let's go support these guys. Whoa, we are not doing well. August 11th, we might be able to rescue them. Probably not. Oh, we won! Sweet. Okay, we're going to pull these forces away. Oof. Yeah, we're just going to be in active retreat all across this area. We can probably take over the province in question. We're at 9% war score. I don't know how well this is going to work. We'll try to... You know, we might just evacuate these units to the boats. Alright, so we'll take over these provinces with the rest of our troops here. We'll probably drop our forces back into southern India or something like that. The Russians are attacking our homeland, which we can't actually prevent. So yeah, we'll just take over this one province. Looks like the British have a single group of cavalry here. The Russians seem to be coming at us with strength. The Persians put up a decent fight, so I don't want to actually engage them in the mountains if we can avoid it, and it's not actually within the confines of the war goal, so we can probably just ignore that. Alright, we'll actually drop this one army off. This actually is probably a really defensible location. We have naval superiority. We have our whole army on the coast. The British, if they're feeling adventurous, can go forth and fight the Russian army. If they're not, though, and I doubt they will be, what we can very realistically do is hold these territories. If the Russians come in to stomp us, which they very well may, we can take two groups of our army at a single time and land them in defense of whatever group gets attacked. Should we go try to rescue those British forces? Probably not. That is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous place to be. I'm not sure if they won that or lost that. Now, realistically, we could probably beat that Russian army if we want to be aggressive in this war. Now, we've kind of done a lot to not be aggressive. Or we have gone through a lot to not be aggressive now. So we probably should just go and, well, try to smash that one Russian army. Maybe it'll do us some good. Who's really to say? Who's to say it won't? We will, however, unload this troop right now, let that Persian army go do something else somewhere else. And actually, it doesn't matter, because we'll just move these armies. The Russian armies are busy with their occupations. It looks like they are trying to reinforce those guys. We'll just charge them right now. They're trying to get out. They'll leave on the 8th. We will get there much later. But we did definitely spook them. They want peace, status quo. That's not really great for us. I mean, it is good for us. It's not great, though. We're going to stick it out. Let's stick it out. There's no reason not to. Worst case, the British just take Alaska, and we do this kind of for nothing. Yeah, that really is the worst case. We will try to spook this Russian army, though. Looks like they're not really easy to spook all of a sudden. Well, we'll try to get more forces and spook them. Oh, crap! So hopefully we're not going to take terrible debuffs for landing on them. It looks like we actually don't. It looks like we can just land on other people's armies, and it doesn't really matter. So that's cool, we beat them. Let's see what else to do. We'll take this not undermanned group, we'll land them in Jask, try to scare off those Russians, and just... Oh no. Alright. So, a pop-up just showed up for a second there saying that anarcho-liberals, I believe, took hold of the Ottomans. That is amazing. I mean, okay, so we're kind of stuck right now fighting the Russians in not that great of situations. We'll win that battle pretty handedly, so that's cool. We'll pull this group, put them somewhere they can easily be reinforced. Not actually land them there. So we could just hunt them down with the entirety of our army, just that encircles them. But now we do really have a good reason to just go to war against the Ottomans. They're a bourgeois dictatorship, which means they can't pass any reforms, and they're going to collapse into anarchy almost immediately. That is honestly the best thing that could have happened to us. That is so cool. We're going to get our cores back. I mean, I'll knock on wood just because I am a little bit worried about that sort of thing. But there's almost no way we won't get our cores back unless they form an alliance really quickly with some power. Which they might do. They might do. There's reasons we won't just win it immediately. And we are bogged down right now fighting the Russians, which isn't really a situation we are going to enjoy being in, I guess is one way of saying that. I mean, the whole reason we're against Persia, other than the fact that the, Alexander's empire is pretty cool. Well, that's really the main reason, and to get to the Ottomans in such a way that the British can help us. Well, the British aren't proving to be very much help. In fact, they're actually losing land to Hyderabad, or... No, Hyderabad is helping them with their own anarcho-liberals. That's interesting. Looks like the British are kind of in Siberia. They're definitely in Alaska, not entirely clearing the Russians out of North America, though. Haven't landed any troops anywhere else. This might not be the best. Actually, you know what? We're at 24% war score, so I have enough confidence that we can win this. And if we just take Loristan, that's good enough, man. We could even ally Serbia. Have Serbia come help us in some weird and crazy way. I'm gonna try that. We'll increase our relations with the Serbs. May as well have too many allies. Worst case, we just don't give them anything, and they don't like us as much. And that's not even a thing. That's only an EU4 would they not like us as much. And Vicky, too, I think we can just get away with spurning them for really nothing. Alright, 22nd, 23rd. That's probably good enough. We'll leave this group behind so that they can reinforce once. The Russians will probably have a bit of a dig-in bonus, which isn't cool. But it doesn't look like it's too terrible. These guys will get there on the 7th. We waited a little too long to do that. Now they're going to Zetistan. We could probably just try to follow them. We're not going to do that, though. July 13th. Alright, what we will do... We'll wait. We'll load this group into boats. Hopefully these boats will get here soon. 20th. That's later than we'll actually be under attack. These guys will also arrive on the 20th. Doesn't seem to be slowing the Russians down. Alright, so we're under attack. Bam, we dropped off extra forces. Looks like their reinforcements even gave up on them. That is really nice. Alright, we'll press forward. Let's see. Oh, we could have defended Jask. I don't really want to defend Jask. Not like that, at least. It's really inconvenient how these are two separate naval zones. Alright, we'll hold on to the mountains. If we do get attacked, I don't think we have enough troops to... Alright, let's defend Jask. Alright, that's going really well. And okay, cool. We have enough of an army that we can just bludgeon back and forth against the Russians. Got them to stop sieging that out. I'm going to keep calling it sieging. I mean, it's functionally the same thing. We really have no army tech, so it's really cool that we're doing as well as we are. Let's get some high and low pressure steam, just because our economy isn't doing all that awesome now that most of our homeland is being occupied. You know, it makes sense, you could argue. And yeah, we'll just try to chase these Russians down. They managed to get away quickly enough to just not support their allies whatsoever. Ottomans declared war on Egypt. That's kind of weird. Alright, and we're almost at the point where we can just enforce our war goals. I'm not sure if the Russians will just give in, which would be really cool. So yeah, I'm not sure if they'll do that. I guess we'll find out. We'll just keep doing these battles, and hopefully the British won't do any major boondoggles that just destroy the war effort for us. And hopefully they also don't just peace out and give us nothing. A lot to hope for. But yeah, our armies are doing well. The Russians are busy taking over our pretty worthwhile. I'm not gonna say anything terrible about our own country. That's an issue. Not the biggest issue, since we do want to eventually move forces over to deal with... we do eventually want to move some of our forces over. Oh, yes! Alright, cool. We can just do that right now. So, it looks like the British have managed to take over Alaska, making the North American borders even more absurd and annoying. Take that, America, no Alaska for you. And we managed to get Loristan. So we don't actually have that bridge of provinces that we had wanted, but, you know, it was kind of an arbitrary goal since... Well, it wasn't arbitrary at the time, but it's arbitrary now, because now it doesn't really matter. I guess it doesn't really make it arbitrary. At any rate, we're going to increase relations with the Serbs. Ew, the Romanians are a Russian ally. Or they're a spearling of the Russians, and they don't really like us too much. Well, no matter. Alright, so we'll bring these two armies down, load them up into the boats, drop them off in Sinai, and then we'll carry our navies all the way around. Alright, come on. There we go. Okay, so we'll drop these troops off. Then we'll go ahead and carry the rest of our army, first to Sicily, smash those Jacobins, one of those. Smash those guys. Then we'll go battle the Ottomans. We probably have naval superiority, and that reminds me, a very important thing to do at this moment would probably be to ensure our future naval superiority. So, let's see. Not Palmero, that sounds pretty Italian, and we probably won't have those areas very long. I'm just going to build these out of areas that sound not Italian and hope that that works. We could pass some more reforms. Let's just pass gerrymandering. People will be able to have better electoral rights for the elections they won't be a part of. Alright. So, we'll drop these troops off. We don't actually have direct access to the Ottoman hinterland, or heartland, or whatever you want to call it. Really just any of the Ottoman lands at all. We won't have direct access just yet. But we'll get it. Romania declared war on the Ottoman Empire. That's pretty cool. Who are they fighting? Egypt, Serbia, and Romania. They're mobilizing. That's significantly less awesome, but they're going to be fighting so many people. That is really nice. We are failing upwards in a way. Like, we're not really succeeding in a lot of ways due to my own tactics and strategy, as much as I would love to say that we were. But we've gotten incredibly lucky with our infamy and with the just geopolitical situation around us. We might even manage to Okay, I'm not going to say that we will because it seems absurd. It's at 55%. But we may even be able to land in Palermo before the rebels take it. In fact, I'm already going to say that I've gotten ahead of myself. Also, the Ottomans have a tremendous navy, so we're not going to have naval superiority for this fight. So we're going to get all of our forces into Greece proper before we declare war. We also only have 3 regiments that we can raise if we mobilize, and they have 26 regiments as it stands. Oman wants an alliance. I don't really want an alliance with them. Serbia doesn't want an alliance. I did kind of want an alliance with them. I wonder if we could ally the Russians. I mean, they won't right now because we have other great power allies and because we're still in the sphere of the UK. Alright, never mind. We don't really have very many diplomatic options. Serbia doesn't want to ally us. Really, as long as we can get there and support the Serbs and the Romanians before everything goes terribly wrong for them. And it looks like the Egyptians are even making some gains. Alright, so we're just going to go after Thessalia. And really, we probably shouldn't have built that entire addition to our navy, since it won't really bring us anywhere close to up to speed against the Ottomans. Oh, Romania entered an alliance with the Russians. Okay, interesting. Will they call them in? That would be very cool. Okay, in order for them to call in the Russians, they would have to start losing the war, I believe. Not entirely certain about that, though. And God help us if the Serbs and Romanians manage to win their war before we get there, which they might do. So where is our navy? Well, our frigates are all just here in Malta. That's pretty cool. The rest of our navy is coming in right now. We'll just drop them all off in port. We won't really have enough forces to battle the Ottomans and their tremendous navy with something like 19 capital ships. We could call in the British, although I don't want to do that because they'll sell us out for just a pittance. Alright. We could also probably raise a couple more groups since that army is partially undermanned or made up of partially undermanned divisions. Looks like we just kind of won that when we defeated the rebels. So that's cool. Go ahead and carry these forces into the mainland and then we'll just declare our war and hope for the best. And it really doesn't seem like we'll have to do very much hoping. The Prussians are taking a whole bunch of land from Austria. That's really good news. If there's any ally you want in the late game, it's the Prussians to the North Germans to the Germans. Because they, more than any other AI, will stir the pot. And once we unlock Great Wars, well, we're going to really want that. Because the more that the pot gets stirred, the more we're in Great Wars, and the less infamy it costs to demand entire states and even annex whole countries. Every war goal, I believe, just gets massively brought down in infamy cost. So we're going to want a great power ally who will want to stir the pot. I'm also going to try to say less or less as well. Just a weird little addendum there. Okay, so the Russians are trying to get their relations back up with the Ottomans. Here's how we avoid that. If we can overthrow, or if we can get the Ottoman Empire occupied to the extent that they just collapse to the next rebel group that pops up, we're golden. They will hopefully just fall into a cycle of rebellion after rebellion, and we'll just be able to keep declaring wars on them to take our cores, and really just keep bludgeoning them down. It's kind of awful to say, but that's really the goal. We'll give our people non-secret ballots just to prevent, or just to lower the likelihood that they'll revolt. And we'll go ahead and declare war to acquire Thessalia. Alright, guys. Greek armies marching in. And we always do have the opportunity to go ahead and call our British allies in later on. Let's see if they'll even accept. Probably should have. Alright, they will accept, so that's cool. I mean, realistically, that's definitely something I should have looked into before declaring the war. Looks like Prussia has acquired Moravia, which is just disgusting. Hopefully they'll take Bohemia or lose Moravia sooner than later. Looks like the Ottomans are trying to acquire Palestine. We're under attack, and unfortunately the game either didn't pause or I unpaused it. I will mobilize. We don't get very many troops from doing that, but we do get an amount. This general gives us a bonus to the attack. We don't really need that right now. Who else gives us a good attack bonus? None of our generals give us as good of a bonus as this guy. So unfortunately, he's going to have to lead his very wounded army into combat, or very undermanned army. But look at that. That is glorious. What is happening? Let's look at it. I guess we don't get to. But we stack wipe those Ottomans. That's great news. We'll just leave a force there. And we'll just start occupying the surrounding areas. Alright, so the Ottomans are making gains over there. Doesn't really matter. In fact, that's really good for us in a sense. We managed to get that economy tech, so now we're not hemorrhaging money, although we never really were hemorrhaging it. Alright, and these units, these groups of farmer infantrymen, we're going to use them to surround enemy armies if we get into another large battle like that. Although the Ottomans only have 10 brigades, so it doesn't seem very likely that we will. So in fact, we'll just attach them to one of our armies. We won't merge them, but we'll attach them just to speed up our occupations, and I guess I've changed it to occupations now. At any rate, though, this is really great. We might realistically form the Byzantine Empire, although I think I'll avoid that and try to just go for broke and retake the entire Alexandrian Greek Empire. If we can't end up managing that, though, then before the end of the game we will reform Byzantium, just because it's a cool country. Everyone loves Rome. So, that all being said, I think we're actually just going to be in a moment of relative peace. I don't know where the Ottoman Navy has gone, and I don't want to risk our entire Navy to find it out. We could potentially... Well, actually, that's basically the thing. Risk to reward, there's no reason for us to go out trying to blockade the Ottoman ports. Unless we look, and they do still have 42 ships, so it's not worth it. They'll get a little bit of war score because they still occupy... Well, they are blockading us. That's really the thing. In fact, we could... Alright, let's just think about the entire reasoning. The risk with sending our frigates out is that they'll all get sunk. They're not really useful at the moment right now, and they are costing us a lot of money. So it's not really that terrible of a thing. And we can break their blockades, which we managed to break one. And we managed to break both. So yeah, we're just going to do little annoyance attacks and try to avoid their massive navy. And we'll just land right there. It's not really a port. However, it still holds our navy and keeps it from getting just smashed by that 40 stack of ships. Meanwhile, we could almost just demand Thessalia right now. We'll go ahead and add West Macedonia. 20 war score. Let's go ahead and demand that. 11. Yeah, we might even be able to retake our entire country in this one war. Knock on wood. I don't know how that is going to work war score wise, but we're actually in a really good spot. Now I know at some point the British get an event to give us the Ionian Islands, and apparently they're a presidential dictatorship. That's kind of neat. I don't know if that'll fire if we are a great power and thus independent of their influence. At any rate, though, we're doing amazingly well. This one unit is kind of left in a not ideal position. It looks as though the Serbs and Romanians are still fighting the Ottomans, but they're not making any gains, and neither do the Ottomans. They have 1 brigade and 10 brigades, so you would think that they would be making gains. I guess not, though. Meanwhile, in the south, it looks like the Ottomans have stopped progressing against the Egyptians, and the Egyptians are still making gains against the Ottomans. We'll even give the Egyptians military access just to be better at harassment. So, yeah, this one army, not in the greatest spot. If an Ottoman army shows up, we could lose that army. They still have 7 brigades, which is actually just 1 more than that group. And that does mean they are taking losses. We really don't even need to fear them in a lot of ways. Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, we'll just keep doing this. I'm going to make a prediction, which might be overly bold. And let's go sink this. Ah, darn. Can we get them? No. Where are they going? I guess it doesn't matter that much. Not blockading us. Let's go get vision on all of this going on here. Didn't really show us anything. Okay, so the Romanians are making some gains, and we still should be able to go take Istanbul. And once we do that, what even are the Ottomans doing? What kind of empire loses its capital to a former subject people? Not a very great empire. And if we're lucky, maybe Bulgaria will eventually get free. That won't really be awesome for us later on, although we don't need to move into what is currently Bulgaria. Let's go ahead and add East Macedonia. This is really doable. This is just crazily doable. In fact, this makes me think that we should have justified war for something else entirely to begin with, as we did, as we just typically try to do, to justify a war and then add a war goal later on, so as to avoid too much infamy. I just didn't even think about it because I didn't think it would go this well, this quickly or easily. So that's really, really cool. Now let's see, we're already at 50% war score. Our war goals right now are 61%. If we add Cyprus, that's only 6%. We can realistically reclaim all of our core territory in this one war. In fact, we will send one of these armies out. We'll send them over to Corinth. We'll even merge our entire navy in case they do get intercepted, to hopefully keep our army alive in that instance. And we'll just land. We'll land on Cyprus, try to take that thing over. And if we keep succeeding just as profoundly as we are already, we'll start landing on the Aegean Islands. Oh, it looks like a tiny Ottoman army has shown up. That's nothing. That is absolutely nothing. Yeah, we forgot to bring the frigates. And there is still an Ottoman boat down there, winning all sorts of occupations. Oh, okay, the Romanians are out of the war, which probably means the Serbs are out of the war as well. They are. Take that, Serbia. That's what you get for having a larger ally. Abandoned. Oh, alright, looks like the USA has their borders, except also that, and not Alaska. And we will even go... Probably not pick up this army just yet. Oh look, the Ottomans are making a peace offer. We have all of these things. Let's see. 69%. This is the moment of truth. 14%. We'll just go for it. We'll just go for all of our cores back. Unfortunately, there is the Ottoman Navy. Hopefully it won't matter. Alright, and we'll just keep occupying all these areas, and eventually they'll just give in. I mean, what really else can they do? They don't have an army in any way. They are trying to build one, but it isn't going along. Or it isn't coming along, I should say. And if we're really lucky, the Ottoman population will just get so upset by this that they'll just have another rebellion and it'll reset all of these Russian relation improvements. Because we do have to worry about that. If the Russians become friendly with the Ottomans, they could just pop in and intervene, which would be incredibly disastrous for us. And really, I guess my hubris would have almost demanded that if I didn't check up on that. Since that is something that I know about, I couldn't really feign ignorance. And they are getting close. 83%. You know, they're offering it, but I wanted to send it myself, just to be sure. And there we go. Just like that. Greece has been restored. We're up to 7.5 million people, and only the vast majority of them are Chinese. Still, though, what a turnaround. We'll demobilize. Doesn't look like we're really able to raise any regiments from any of these new territories. Yeah, we can raise one group from a place that we already could have. So we didn't really change anything like that. Let's see though. Decisions. National fraternity. We'll start researching our way to national fraternity, which I believe... Alright, which is this? Alright, that's nationalism and imperialism. We could have had that 10 years ago. We'll just beeline towards it now. Nah, unless there's anything super significant that we need to grab. Otherwise, though, we're in a pretty great spot. We should also start looking towards expansion of our naval facilities, just so that longer term we will be able to get a better colonial empire in Africa, as that's going to become a growing concern. So we're not going to just beeline national fraternity. We'll probably push as far as the next colonial technology, which I believe you get, let's double check this, at state and government you get mission to civilize. So we'll probably move to this technology next, get our naval bases up. We really don't need to research one than the other, since well, it just takes a while for naval bases to build, and we do have to save up the money for them. We can really probably just drop a lot of funding for our Navy and our Army. It looks like we're building a lot of stuff. But there we go. We're now making a pretty healthy surplus. Romania broke their alliance with the Russians. That's kind of interesting. They do have the Russians do have some of their cores, though, so that does make sense. The poor Serbs probably feel so abandoned, all of these cores that are just going to go unredeemed. So we could be pressing our advantage in taking over colonial territories. That's definitely a thing we could be doing. I almost want to just save our infamy right now. We are going to have to go into another war against the Ottomans fairly soon. Palmero is acting up again. It doesn't really matter, we'll just drop on them. Yeah, so that was actually much easier than I thought it would be. And now it's just going to be a little bit of just slow teching up. And considering the larger situation around us, it looks as though a bunch of our factories have closed. We'll go ahead and open them and see if they can stay open on their own. And it looks like they're doing perfectly fine. We're going to subsidize them, and hopefully that won't just destroy our economy in the long run. Even keep those two groups in Sicily just so it stays under our control, and even if more rebels do pop up, it won't matter, ideally. So let's see. We are already building that naval base. We have naval bases in really all of the areas that we can get them. We're going to become a great power. Hopefully that doesn't bother the British too much, which it might. We have a lot of lands that they probably want. Looks like the Spanish are getting involved in Africa. Alright, so that's one place that we may want to start intervening in. If we... oh yeah, because the Portuguese have already taken a lot of Oman's territory. We could just demand a concession. We could conquer them, but that doesn't make any sense. We'll just demand a concession. Alright, we'll split our navy up again. And we will demand a concession from Oman. We'll just take that one province. Another thing we could do, and maybe even should do, is take some land from Sokoto. They don't have a port, but you don't actually need a port to colonize in Africa. You just need to have territory that borders somewhere else by land. That's still a good thing. Oh, they're in the sphere of the United States. The Americans are so just aggressively diplomatic this game. So we're going to need to find alternative ways into Africa. One way may very well be the Egyptians, and in fact, that's probably a quick and easy way to do this. We'll demand a concession from Egypt, and we're probably just going to go after Dongola, and then Kordofan. That's cool. So yeah, Dongola, and then maybe Kordofan. We're probably going to do it in 2 separate wars, though, just so we have the option of not getting the entirety of the infamy. And then once we have Dongola, we will be able to just bring our troops over and... actually, at that point, we won't really need that one Omani province, since we can realistically just build naval bases in the surrounding area and supply it from those. So I do want to build a naval base in Suez, but instead I'll build it right there, since that's really the only we just have so many naval bases in this side, we'll build it there and then eventually get the Suez Canal. And since we're going to become a great power, that means that we don't have to worry about the British just getting the Suez province unless they've managed to build the Suez Canal in the next few days. Or I guess the next year or so. So we'll just drop these forces off. Now this will also slightly empower the Ottomans, and that's not really the best thing. And the Russians are already friendly with them again. So yeah, not really ideal. Although it looked as though they were fighting rebels already. I wonder if we lose money by moving our fleet out. Kinda seems like it. So we'll just send a transport fleet over to double check. Alright, and we have risen. We are now a great power. We can sign the Geneva Convention. We'll go ahead and not do that. We can seize the means of production. Are any of our factories not domestically owned? I don't even know. I don't think so. Are the Russians still our allies? They are. Sweet. They are, however, also allied to the Austrians. So I feel like that's kind of bugged. The game says you're only allowed to have one great power ally. If you become a great power, you don't lose your great power ally. We will ally the Serbs just because they're plucky little guys. We'll even try to influence them away from the Russian yoke. See how well that works. What? Why are the Americans the spear owner of 2 Sicilies? America's really getting in the way. Yeah, they have Japan, they have part of China. They have 2 Sicilies. They're letting the Americas go to the British. That's pretty weird. Alright, I guess we'll just ignore that. The Prussians still don't have enough to form... And it looks like the Belgians are a great power, so that's cool. Kind of explains how we're a great power. Alright, well, we'll just keep moving on. We'll take a look and see what's going on in that Ottoman capital of theirs. Ottoman Reactionaries. Okay, so they'll go from a bourgeois dictatorship to a presidential dictatorship, which also cannot pass reforms. That's really awesome news for us. That is really just one of the best things that can happen for us. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and declare war on the Egyptians, and we'll take Dongola. 30 war score for that. Doesn't matter too much. And I'll just march into Cairo. Our people are becoming slightly socialist, although very few of them have ever seen a factory in their lives. And we will actually transport this army over. We may as well not prolong the war for any unnecessary reasons. I do kind of want to get Palestine at some point, but we'll put that off for now. Although realistically we don't... Okay, actually, if we put off taking it, the Ottomans might turn it into a state, and then we'll have to pay more for it in a different war later on. So that's not optimal. At the same time, though, okay, so in the best of cases, we can declare war on the Ottomans for more of their land in, say, 4.5 years. Realistically, we should do that to take Rumelia. Although, we're probably not going to do that. I didn't actually mean to increase relations with them like that. Should have done that through the diplomatic mode, but it's okay. It doesn't actually slow us down. Alright, increase opinion, not relations. And we'll try to just get them out of the Russian sphere. We'll probably try to get them to form Yugoslavia, since that doesn't actually negatively affect us. Although it would kind of suck for them to have Northern Macedonia, since that is, you know, if we're going Alexandrian style, we should probably have Macedonia and Albania. Especially if we do press further north. Since, you know, that's not a terrible border. Just right there. Probably press all the way up to the Danube. That's looking way too ahead for now, though. It's good to just have the Serbians as an ally. If for nothing else, they'll maybe soak up some Turkish forces. They might not do that very well, but at the same time, we may as well believe in them that far. And anyway, so what I was saying is, we have roughly 5 years until we can declare war on the Ottomans again, and it'll probably take us maybe 6 to 10 for us to actually get to nationalism and imperialism, especially if we're researching other texts as well. And we're probably going to just keep researching other texts as well. Now, especially because we do need empiricism. That really should have been the one that we went after. It looks like the Serbs are actually going to be very easy to get into our sphere of influence, and that's really cool. You know, we'll also get the Montenegrins in. Portugal wants to ally us again. Welcome back into the fold, Portugal. And we'll just go ahead respecting beliefs. The Egyptian army is right there. It's really nothing to write home about. We'll still just meet two of our armies up and smash it with just unbelievably overwhelming force. We won't even worry about just attacking them now. We'll let them do a little bit more occupation, more occupying. And I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't thrown in the towel just yet. One of the things we could do is wait until they get a reactionary rebellion before making peace. Ooh, they're friendly with the United States. That's not good. We have to rush this war. We really have to rush this war. If the Americans join on their side, then that is very terrible for us. Demand Angola. Let's do that. Alright, so that's good. We don't need to go after Oman, so we can save the infamy. We're really at a point now where even though we've been doing very well infamy-wise, we should probably start to take a more cautious approach, especially if we're going to try to take over areas that we want in the long term. We could even probably influence the Ottomans later on, but that's not really all that realistic right now. Let's take a look at them, though. The Russians are friendly with them. That kind of sucks, but it's more or less to be expected. And we'll just finish this research. Ooh, what is this? The Americans are fighting the Ottomans because they intervened in Egypt. Look at that. Look at us dodging bullets. Hopefully they don't try to interfere with these rebels overthrowing the Ottomans. In fact, what if the Russians join the war against the Americans to defend the Ottomans? That would be interesting. Ottoman War, Ottoman liberation of Transjordan. Yeah, who knows? Maybe if they're brought to the point where they're actually losing, the Russians will come and help. At any rate, we're really hoping for the success of these rebels. It looks like the Americans aren't actually going to do very well, as their armies or their navies are just getting smashed. The Ottomans, though, don't have an army whatsoever, so it's not like they can even fight back, and the Americans have a pretty decently sized group. So, if we're lucky, here's what's going to happen. These rebels take over the Ottoman capital. This army eventually moves in and just keeps ravaging the Ottoman countryside. Long story short, just wrecks the poor guys. Looks like we can influence Montenegro. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Oh, what was this? This American Navy is doing really well. Or at least it's fighting a lot of battles for just being transports. I'm really shocked that that's working as well as it is for them. I should offer them military access. Whoops. Offer them. There you go, America. Stop having to go all the way back to the, well, I guess your country, your continent. Man, they just keep engaging the Ottomans. That's really, I don't want to say ballsy, but it's pretty ballsy, man. Unfortunately, I can't seem to look at the battle. Alright, so now they're going to become a presidential dictatorship. That's pretty neat. We also need to go back to expanding our naval bases. We can't really waste any time with this, and I wasted quite a few months just now by being, well, just ignoring it. Let's see, we can't build a naval base in Thessalia. Why can we not? Only one per state. Oh, and it's right there, duh. I just upgraded that one. Alright, so we'll just keep building all these naval bases up. We only really need to upgrade naval bases past level 1. Bam, look at that. Past level 1 in our state provinces in colonial areas. That doesn't really do very much. I think it does raise our naval capacity, but it's not like we're going to be hurting for naval capacity. And another plus side to allying Montenegro and Serbia is they'll probably add war goals and just start dismantling the Ottomans themselves once we give them the opportunity to help. Now, the Russians really are keen on influencing the Ottomans, and that's just absolutely disgusting for us and our interests. We're also already back down to Great Power status number 8, which isn't all that cool. And realistically, it would have been nice for us if the Ottomans collapsed into anarchy again slightly later, so we were more ready to declare war on them. You can't have everything, though, and a presidential dictatorship is a really unstable form of government in Victoria, too. I feel like that caveat might be necessary. Looks like we can't really recruit any armies, and if we do, they'll be all over the place. America got a status quo piece out of the Ottomans. Can we ally these guys? They will accept. Cool. They don't have an army, so that's not all that great. However, maybe later on there'll be some support, or at least a little more fun. And yeah, so anyway, now we're just going to get empiricism. We don't have enough people to really need to worry. Let's see. Oh yeah, we need everybody to be very socialist, although that's in China, so whoops. Oh man, that's a really big issue, is if you really encourage ideologies like socialism and whatnot in your colonies, they get pretty uppity about those ideologies, and it's just constant communist rebellions in the colonial provinces, just like clockwork. Because they're not going to be happy with your regime, because you're kind of just there to dominate them as a foreign power, and no one really loves that. Oh well. Let's just go ahead and select Montenegro. We have our first Spearling, so that's pretty cool. We could do that with Hejaz and all of these Arab states. I'm not going to do that. Eventually we will want to conquer them, but not for any time soon. Luckily the British are still our allies. We could go back after Persia a little bit, although they're about to be speared by the Russians in just a few days. And we haven't quite been able to get the Serbs yet. The Russians have been acting diplomatically against us. Yeah, let's not fight the French. That's just ridiculous. I mean, I guess the British would help us, perhaps, but they are allied to the Russians, and that's just that's just an issue. 38% of our people will vote yes for schools and things. We'll just kind of let that go for a while. 39%. I forget what it is. I think at 5 average militancy we'll be able to do that. Although that remains to be seen. So yeah, our Greece is now more successful than real-world Greece. I guess you could argue that we've been more successful ever since we went and took a large portion of China and the Asian world. You know, that's a pretty decent point. We can't really realistically hope to get 2 Sicilies into our Spearling network, since I assume they hate us. We should probably go back for the rest of Punjab at some point, since they do have quite a bit of population. We'd actually... Ah, they're friendly with the British, though. Yeah, no. Let's not do that. Let's not kick that can of worms. Especially because the British probably can't technically, by the rules of the game, have us as an ally anyway. So let's not give them a reason to cancel that. Especially since it's not something we could reinstate easily, or really at all. However, if every great power is allowed to have 1 great power ally, and the British have 2 due to a technicality, then that's 3 great powers tied up. France and Russia, that's 5. Oh wait, no. So, yeah, the UK and Austria. Belgium doesn't have any great power allies, so okay, that's 6. The United States doesn't have a great power ally, so that's 7, and then the Prussians don't have one either. So we could realistically, we could ally the Prussians, although right now that doesn't really help us all that much. Now, it may very well prove to be a good idea. They only have 67 brigades, the Russians have 72. We won't do it yet, but it might be a good idea later on. We'll also expand that naval base. The reason for that being, if the Russians do re-spear the Ottomans, or if the French do either, then at that point we'll really want to use the Prussians to bludgeon either of them, especially if they become Germany. So let's get ourselves to a point where we realistically can declare war on the Ottomans again. Once we get our magnificent idea, or our mega idea, the Magali idea, oh, the great idea, cool. An irredentist concept of Greater Greece. So yeah, that's really what we're after. National fraternity will go plow into the Ottomans. and hopefully do a good job of it. We'll also build a naval base. We already have a naval base. That's cool. Let's go ahead and build ourselves another navy. We'll just build ourselves an entire... Let's see. 26 transports would be way too much, but we'll build another 14 just so we can transport our entire army at once. We won't support them with any frigates or anything, though, just because frigates are probably going to be, if they're not already significantly outdated, they're going to be soon. We'll send one of our navies over into the Indian Ocean sort of area, into the Red Sea. Military access from the Russians. Who are they fighting? Oh, they're at war with Persia? They're probably... What are they doing? What is this? Probably a war of submission? Cut Persia down to size. The French and the Russians are fighting the Persians. Everyone's cordial or worse with them. Cordial. Yeah, I do want Khuzestan. Let's go ahead and justify this war. It'll be interesting. Oh, darn. 4.8 infamy. That's really almost the worst that could have gone. We'll leave that army there because we do need someone to just occupy and hold down Sicily, since they do seem rather rebellious. It looks like we have another one of these national foci. We'll go ahead and... It's weird, I wouldn't think that Western Afghanistan would be our second most populous province. Apparently, though, it is. So it will be the place where we recruit new soldiers. We will also recruit significantly out of our empire. We'll go ahead and get well, no. We'll get Greek artillery. That way they won't die. We'll get Turkish infantry, because they will die. And we'll get a couple dragoons. It's probably a lot of dragoons for the army. Doesn't matter, though. There we go. We'll get a decent army out of that. We'll keep one of our navy groups just there chilling. And we took so much infamy that we may as well just deal with it. Is this new, or have I just left that up? Couldn't really tell you. The Serbs broke their alliance with us. How hurtful. And at this point we should probably be paying attention more to our influences. Looks like we were banned from Serbia. Which means, what should we do? We need to get rid of one of these little notification things. We'll get rid of the Navy, or not Navy. Building construction we can probably, well, we need that because we're building up our naval bases, but Navy construction we'll get rid of. And we'll kind of just ignore our armies somewhat. It looks like people are kind of upset now just by how much infamy we've got, that's probably why they're breaking their alliances with us. As long as we keep the British, though, we're fine. And we will rush in and try to smash into Khuzestan. Just take that, and then we'll have our land route, no matter what ends up happening. We will intervene immediately, because we need all of the people that we can get. Oh, what is that? Oh, the Russians allied Serbia? How rude. Alright, we can demand concessions. The Russians just added another war goal. They're demanding... What are they doing? They're demanding Tabriz, which I believe is this one. So they're just pushing the border back. It'll look terrible, and if we do manage to achieve our ultimate objectives, which maybe we'll do, probably not. We're going to get somewhat close, though. That's at least a good goal. We'll see how it all plays out, though. We don't even need to split the fleet, really. I don't think the Persians have a navy. They don't. Alright. And these guys are almost all the way there. What we'll do is we will just pluck up really all three of these armies. And then we'll have our navy go around just trying to pluck up other groups as they form, as we recruit them. Which I'm not really sure where they're all coming into being. Let's see. Send... You... Well, we'll just let them work undisturbed, since that doesn't really give us any penalties. Alright, max national focus +1. Let's see, we still have a while before the naval bases are done, so we will go for state and government. We probably don't have very much time at all before before it's time to start colonizing. Since we are playing vanilla, we only have 5 years. We have 5 years and not anything in the way of colonial power. So that's not good. We're going to have to push off our war against the Ottomans for a few more years and just focus on colonialism and colonial technologies. We have a literacy rate of 31%, which is really awful. I mean, just awful to a point that I'm not going to get further into, but it's pretty awful. We're already kind of running late, or running long right now. We'll just get our armies... Actually, let's make sure a year doesn't pass. We have until April of next year, so that's good. Alright, we're going to run a little bit late, but I'll just get my armies in position against the Persians. Hopefully nothing absolutely insane pops up, and then we'll just rush in and take Khuzestan from them. It looks like the Russians are going to be occupying basically the entirety of their country, and instead of spearing them, they've decided to just take some of their land and bludgeon them a bit. That works out pretty cool for us. In fact, they only have 1 regiment, so we may as well just declare the war. Alright, yeah, so realistically there's no reason to even hold this up. We will come back and most likely just declare war on Persia next time. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we'll be able to reform, if not Alexander's empire, then at the very least the Byzantine Empire, which isn't really much to say very least about. And let's take a look. Yeah, cordial. That's the best they've managed to get, and their presidential dictatorship, so hopefully that'll collapse. We'll probably end up colonizing sometime next episode, or maybe the episode after that, depending on how many years go by. At our current rate, probably next episode. Poor Egypt just trisected. So yeah, hopefully we'll get enough colonial power to do that at all effectively, get a decent chunk of Africa. Probably not too much, we'll get a modest amount. But we'll try to make it a nice, modest amount. At any rate, thank you again for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.